All right, are we live? Yes, we are. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome to another episode of Workforce Ready with NSTAR. One of these days, technology will not be a source of embarrassment to to us. We'll figure this whole YouTube live thing. So it's incredible. It's annoying how simple and yet complex these things can be. But we'll jump right in. And again, I apologize for any setbacks or delays with getting things going with this. We will figure this out. I promise you. Again, my name is Nnamdi Ihenacho. I am the CEO here at NSTAR Technologies and also the Database Administration Faculty Lead. And today I'll be speaking on the topic from non-tech to database administrator. What makes this a smart career switch? Why should you be interested in a career as a database administrator? Now, the objective of Workforce Ready with NSTAR is not just database administration, right? The emphasis on database administration over the last few weeks has been because that is my lane, and I want to start from there, and then I'll get into other things that are familiar, other aspects of tech, other aspects of just the workforce that are applicable. So it's not going to be just database administration every time. If there's other things tech related that you're interested in, we will talk about them. But welcome again. My name is Nnamdi Ihenacho if you're just meeting me for the first time. And today I'll be talking about, again, making that leap from a non-technical background into database administration, or fondly referred to as DBA, not doing business as, but DBA, not Doctor of Business Administration, but DBA. All right. In the simplest of terms, the database administrator is the guardian of the data, right? That is standard Google definition of it. Like, what exactly or who exactly is a database administrator? We are gatekeepers for business critical information, business critical data. Point blank, period. That is who we are. That is exactly what we do. That is what our work is about, right? And our core responsibilities include ensuring data security. That means when we talk about data security, it's about access, right? Security means who has access or managing access, right? You put a gate or let me know it's a gate because I'm thinking I'm in Africa, but you have a door and your doors are locked. That's a security measure, and only the people that have the key can come into your home. Only the person who has the key can come into your apartment or can get in. If you don't have the badge or key card, you can't get into the community, right? You've put that key in place with the locks to ensure that only authorized people can come in. It is the same thing when we talk about database security. It just means putting measures in place to ensure that if you're not supposed to have access to this information, you don't. Right. And if you are supposed to, how much access should you have? Right. So security is a key part of what we do. Data integrity, making sure that when I check the data I see is correct, the information I see is accurate. And so I do a transaction and I tell you I just sent you $100. You should go to your bank account and see your balance increase by plus 100. That is data integrity. It is accurate information. If it is not doing that, then there's a compromise in the integrity of the data. All right. And so those are core responsibilities of a database administrator. We talk about optimizing database performance. When we say performance, we are referring to speed, right? How fast, right? You know how you go on a website, you go into a portal, you go on a shopping car, a shopping site or whatever, and you're trying to find something. You want to put in a search parameter and get your results right away. That's the standard behavior. When that doesn't happen, it's abnormal and you get antsy or you get upset or you get like impatient, which is expected because you expect this to behave a certain way. All right, so that is performance about speed. Another responsibility of a database administrator is managing backups and recovery. A backup is just a copy of your data. Why do we have backups? Why do you back up your phone? Just in case you lose your phone, just in case you change phones, you're able to recover all of your data, your messages, your pictures, all of the contents of your old phone. You can recover them in the new location without losing anything. That's the whole concept of a backup. A backup is just making a copy and safely, storing that away it's what we call, it falls under the what we call disaster recovery, right? It's a disaster recovery measure to ensure that just in case, the same way, just in case you lose your phone, just in case of an outage, just in case of something happening or going wrong, you have a copy to fall back to and continue to serve whoever is the end user for your data. So backup recovery, those fall under the responsibilities of a database administrator. Then, I will talk about security and access and permissions, right? And so that's just a very, very like 10,000 feet overview of the role of a database administrator, if that makes sense, right? And again, I know I just jumped right into it. That's because I'm starting a little bit behind time. And so how is database administration different from other roles like a database developer, a system administrator? We deal with the data. We're not just dealing with the data, but we are dealing with transactional data, making sure access and how data moves and it's updated. And so our core is about the data, and like there's people who also deal with the data, but for someone who is a reporting analyst or a business intelligence person, their focus is interpreting the data for business related purposes, right? For business decision making. They're not dealing with transactional data like the changes and records being updated or changed, or somebody trying to make a purchase and that reflecting in the database. What they do with the data is different. For a data analyst, those people are interpreting data for business, right? And for non-technical folks to take technical data and then do what they do. For the person doing reporting, they're using Tableau, they're using Power BI to present the data for other purposes. So the people, different career paths do different things with data. Um, but the one career path that is using data or making sure the actual data, everything going to and out of the database, that's where we come in. So all of the transaction processing, I'm trying to purchase, I'm trying to like anything that interfaces with customers, I'm making sure that process is seamless, end users. That's the database administrator. That's why this role is so critical, because how data comes into the database is something we are directly responsible for. How data leaves the database, how data is updated within the database, that's in the realm of the role of a database administrator, right? A database developer is more working on concepts and needs that the business has to implement solutions, right? They are writing code, they're writing scripts, right? That's the database development side. Okay, so there's different other roles within tech and especially within the data realm. But the role of the database administrator is on that transaction processing. So when you transaction processing, you hear people say things like production support. That is the realm of the role of a DBA. All right, let me know if that makes sense. You can hit me up in the chat. I'd love to see if you have any questions or you need any more. If you need additional clarity on this role, then I'd love to get into it. If you have any questions. Now, why is this smart? Why is this important? I kind of started talking about this, but data is critical to businesses, to organizations. Every organization, regardless of what they do, I've said this 1,000 times, regardless of what the businesses do, regardless of their niche, their industry, regardless of the service they provide, every business is dependent on data. I can go case by case. Whether it's a medical facility, hospitals, they depend on data. Data is critical to them doing their job. Does that make sense, right? If patient records are compromised, the doctors can't do what they do. Let's not even talk about patient records. Imagine if you go to most hospitals, the first thing they're doing is they're asking you for symptoms. They are documenting your symptoms. They're documenting history, all of that. Where does all of that information go? You see them keying that into a front end application, maybe Epic or some other software. But all of that is taking that information and is storing that in a back end database. The database is back end. You see when the doctors come in and they impute this symptoms and impute this, they come up with a hypothesis on the spot. Based on your symptoms, this is likely what is going on with you. They are not guessing, right? Yes, some doctors are so good, they've done it so long, they don't need, they can predict signs and all of that. But a lot of the time, they are working with these applications and it's feeding them. So it's almost like it's a doctor in a sense. They just interpret those outcomes and then make sure you are getting the correct information, right? So they're partnering up with these platforms and softwares to give you, all of the diagnosis and the how they arrive at the things they arrive at to tell you this is what's going on, right? So That's how, in the medical space within doctors' offices, how databases are, how dependent they are on databases. So imagine if that is compromised. Again, they'll be able to do their job, but will they do that as well, right? Imagine we don't have access to patient records and medical history and all of that. That'll be problems. Imagine retail without data. Just imagine Amazon and then Amazon loses all of its data. That means all of the inventory data is not there. People can't list their products or list, like, so many things will go. It's going to go from a $1 trillion corporation to bankrupt in 2 seconds if if they lose their data. That whole business, yes, it's retail, it's people selling and buying products, but that whole business is driven and powered by data, right? All of Amazon, all of Walmart, yes, it's physical stores, it's products, but it is able to run seamlessly because of data. So if data is this critical to businesses, then that means every business needs somebody or a group of people to manage and ensure that this all important aspect of their business, that is safe, it's functional, the right people have access to all of that. Those guys are database administrators, right? And so because of the demand for database administrators, it makes sense to be here because it's going to businesses need what we do. I don't care how technology evolves. People are worried about the evolution of tech and the rise of AI and how AI is AI going to do some things to impact? Yes, every role, almost every role within the realm of technology is going to have a little shift or some major shifts in some careers because of artificial intelligence. But for us, AI is a tool, not a replacement, right? It's only there. It's only going to be something that we leverage for better troubleshooting, right? We leverage AI for easier research, for managing symptoms. Now I can take an XML script or I can take an XML of a failure, upload that into ChatGPT, and it does the analysis for me. So something that would have taken me a longer time, I'm able to leverage, Copilot or leverage ChatGPT to analyze an error message that is complex and get to the nitty gritty root and make better decisions. So it's not replacing, it is just becoming another partner for us. Right. So the evolution of technology doesn't diminish the demand for database administrators. Hope that makes sense. So while people in things like graphics design and copywriting should legitimately worry about their job because you can do the whole entire job, uh, um, to an extent, using AI tools now for the most part. I said, well, instead of people to get, people get, it's not quite there, but it's going there where you can use prompts to create flyers, edit pictures. You can upload a picture and you have your headshots. That's, affecting that career option, right? But that's not the case when it comes to database administration. And database administration is a core STEM, not STEM, but it's a core tech pillar. Let me put it that way. And so it's not going to go away because tech is advancing. And so because it's so significant, it's so important, the role of a database administrator and the importance of what we do to organizations, what that ensures is there is a high demand, right? It might not trend, it might not be popular, it might not sound like what everybody is going for. That's because it's always been there, it will always be there. Just like in business, there are certain businesses that are just safe to invest in. They are not popular, they are not sexy, but they are stable. Database administration is a stable career path. It is not going anywhere. There will always be a demand for database experts, database administration savvy folks will always have employment. So high demand and job security is something you can count on. Another reason why it's a smart choice is it pays well. Because again of the value. We're not paid based on the volume of the work we do, but the value we bring to organizations. Again, if data is compromised, your business is compromised. I just gave the scenarios that I described, and I was a bit I was a bit, big and bold in my pictures, like Amazon's data being compromised and all of that. That is why we have concepts like disaster recovery, high availability. It's copies on copies. Like it would have to be a targeted attack for Facebook or Meta to lose all of its data because they have data centers that are synced across a global scale. Like these are yes, it will be impossible literally to sabotage them to that level where data is that compromised, and they've made sure of that. But they've invested all of these resources and tech to because they know the value of data. So anyway, because of the significance of what we do and the value of the database administrator, we're well paid, right? Here in the US, when we talk about getting a six-figure salary, it is the norm, right? And the lower tier, roles going in, it's that range. The range you should expect is from the lower tiers, like from 90K up to 100 and whatever, depending on what on an hourly rate. If you negotiate on an hourly rate or salary, but salaries I can go up to 140, 150. For just regular DBA, mid-level DBA roles. If you're doing hourly rates as a contractor, there are people who are doing 45, 50, 60, 70, 80. It's not absurd to hear any of those numbers. It's a wide range, pays well. So it's lucrative and has a lot of growth potential, right? Depending on where you want to take your career to, there is room to grow. Even if you want to stay in this DBA lane, support lane, there's still, room to grow and evolve. So and maybe another time I'll talk about the opportunities or the career path for you as a database administrator. But it does present opportunities for growth. Um, Another benefit and why this is a smart career choice is we have transferable skills, right? You have a lot of people. One of the biggest struggles for people trying to get into a career in tech is how do the skills I currently have translate to the field that I'm trying to get into. And database administration is one of those spaces where the skills you currently have literally will translate, right? The things you currently do will be are easy to. A lot of time you can, if you are somebody who is organized, who is analytical, those translate when you're troubleshooting. If you're somebody who is a problem solver, that makes you an excellent candidate to be a database administrator. If you are excellent in communication, a lot of the time we have to sit in meetings and communicate technical concepts to non-technical people, right? Because what we do directly impacts business and revenue. Sometimes I've been in situations where we have this, I used to work for a company, and at specific times of the year, during, say, Thanksgiving, during the holidays, those were very heavy traffic times for us. And so we would all be in what we call a war room, and that would be C-level officials and folks from leadership who might not quite understand some of the language, but they're looking at the dashboard, they're seeing things go up and down, and they might want you to explain and say, hey, what's going on? Why did that spike over there? You can't just start saying, hey, well, this metrics, the counters on the profiler was showing that and da 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 da. That doesn't make any sense. They want to hear English. And so you need to be able to translate all of those technical jargons and speak it in English, right? So that everybody gets it. So if you're somebody who is able to break down complex concepts into very simple language, you will excel as a DBA. You will be able to lead meetings. You'll be able to do updates. You can step into a team lead role and be excellent at it. So there's a lot of transferable non-technical skills that you can bring from your current expertise into database administration. And that's why this is an excellent, a lot of people that come and work with us at NSTAR Technologies don't come from tech, and they're able to still go on and do very well. And then this is, again, I've highlighted this earlier, stability and longevity. It's the demand. Data has always been in vogue. It will always be. It's not going away anytime soon. And so you have that stability in your career. You have that longevity. Like as long as you're learning, you're growing, you're staying sharp, and you're not being careless, you'll always have a job. That's how this DBA world goes, right? And so it is a stable career path for anybody looking to make that jump. Then it makes sense. This is a good space to explore. All right. So, what are some key skills you'd need to get started? Um, on the technical side, SQL is a good place to start. Microsoft SQL or just the SQL, structured query language. Go on W3 schools, start on SQL. That's a good place to start. Most database management systems are driven by or powered by SQL as a standard, right? So go learn SQL. now begin to narrow it down, begin to choose a platform, right? We have database management systems, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, Postgres, Oracle. I said Oracle before, Oracle, MySQL. Pick one lane. Microsoft SQL is what we do at NSTAR Technologies. The opportunities are limitless, and it's easy to translate. If you can navigate your Windows laptop computer, you can pretty much do most of the things we do on the interface for you can do most of the work when it comes to the manual clicking things. It's now understanding why you're clicking what you're clicking, but the clicking part you can do if you can navigate your computer. So Microsoft SQL Server is what we teach. It's easy to transition into, and opportunities are limitless because of how big and widely used Microsoft platforms are. And then just if you want to expand into beyond database admin to get engineering, you can start exploring things like data modeling, architecture, those type things. So those are some technical skills you would need to be a good database administration. And then on the soft skill side, again, coming to those transferable skills, logical thinking and analytical skills. One of the things I always say is if you if you want to be a database administrator, you can't be one who goes the route of, well, this is how we've always done it. And so that's how we will do it. You have to be, can we improve the approach? Can we improve the way we get results? Is there an alternative way we can get this done and get him done more efficiently? Right? That analytical skill, being able to look at a problem and look at multiple ways to solve this problem. Those are some of the things that make you an excellent database administrator. Another soft skill, again, I've talked about this one, excellent communication, written communication, oral communication, right? Being able to speak in meetings, give updates, translate technical concepts to simple English, right? Or send emails, be on top of communication, writing scripts. I was recently acknowledged at a place of employment because of a change request, I created a ticket and how detailed that was. And so just being able to efficiently write a ticket so that again somebody reading it can make a decision based on the information you provided. These are the steps I'll take. Like that level of detail, communication, details, those are the things that make you a good database administrator. I don't know, it's patience. Patience and a proactive approach to problem solving. Patience. You can't be in a hurry to just get to there. No, no, no. One of my leaders, senior leaders, in one of the places where I worked, told me, "Hey, Nnamdi, it's not just about getting to the solution. Take your time, because we want to make sure we are arriving at the solution through we don't just want to get to the end of the problem, but we want to arrive at the solution the right way, the right solution. So it's not rushing to because you've read something on Google and then just going and implementing. No, 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 no. Does the scenarios align? Right? This error message might be the same error message, but the case by case comparison, what's the trigger for that? What triggered that error in your case versus in the case of the one you saw on Google when you're troubleshooting? Yes, we do a lot of Googling, we do a lot of research. Nobody walks into any job knowing every aspect of SQL or we always and that's why AI is a tool for us. It's not going to replace the level of detail involved, the level of human decision making involved in roughly DBA. AI is not coming close. And again, even when you figure it out, somebody has to still take and implement those solutions. So you're not you're not going to log into SQL Server through Copilot, and then Copilot is automatically running and checking and no. So somebody still has to go in and implement the things you find. So yeah, patience and a proactive approach to problem solving is an incredibly important skill, soft skill that the database administrator needs to have. All right. So if you're here and you're looking to make that transition, make that jump, how do I get started? Where do I even start from? So let's look at some of the options. First, choose a platform. Like I said before, which do a self appraisal. First, okay, where do I want to go? Is this a career path I want to get into? I'm guessing if you're listening to this, your answer is probably yes. You're exploring, you're strongly considering this as a career path. Which of the platforms do I want to get into, right? So now you're choosing, do I want to get into SQL Server, Microsoft SQL? Do I want to do Oracle? Do I want to do MySQL? Do I want to do Postgres? Choose a platform. Again, we do the Microsoft SQL Server is our platform of choice here at NSTAR Technologies, but not saying the other ones are not valid. You just want to go where the opportunities are in abundance and competition. Yes, competition is everywhere, but at least you know there's enough opportunity for you if you push yourself hard enough. Um, and then begin your process of education, right? There's a lot of tools. I'll start, subscribing to different thought leaders in the space, the Brent Ozas and that crew, the um, Pinal Daves, all of those guys, subscribing to their platforms and just beginning to start getting some information, start getting newsletters, start connecting online in the community, start doing some self-education. That's always a good place to start. YouTube University is a real place, man. There's so much you can learn for free on YouTube. And then, if you want to start today, and then evolve from there to, I highly recommend getting a mentor, getting some career training. Again, we at Nstar Technologies, we expedite that process because now you're not guessing. We have a curriculum to expedite your learning process and drive you to success in a very short time, 8 weeks to be precise. And so that's the benefit of going through a program. But can you learn a few things online? Can you gather information here and there? Yes, you can. It's just that structured guidance you don't have access to. All right. So definitely hit us up, book a call with us, and we'd love to tell you more about how we help students go be successful. So get education. Next, get experience, right? And you're wondering, well, where do I get experience from if I don't have a job in this space? Um, that's where all of the labs and practice and extended hours of practice come in. That is you building experience. Again, not to over promote our programs, it's a core part of what we do. We heavily, and I'm talking about heavily, we are very heavy on the projects, we're very heavy on the homeworks, we're very heavy on the doing, right? Because that is how you build experience. Okay, one of the examples I like using is for pilots. You could have been a pilot for 20 years, but how long have you really flown? How many flight hours do you have? So you might not have the duration in terms of years of experience, but you can build up your flight hours by practice, by spending time in the lab and doing and doing. Because when you go in front of the interviewers, they will paint scenarios for you. They will give you case studies. They will ask you, hey, assuming this is what happens, how would you address it? If you're working and you get this email, you get this request, and you're being asked, to investigate and look into it, what's the approach you would take? What's your thought process on how you handled it? So it's DBA interviews are very case by case in nature. They are not focused squarely on or degree and certification. Okay, you've done this for 10 years, you must be okay. No, it's about, are you staying up? There are people who have been doing this for just 2 years, but they are sharper than people who have been doing this for 10 and vice versa. So experience counts, but it is really how much you spent doing, right? And so when you're in your interviews, the interviewers are looking for your ability to demonstrate proficiency in the technology, right? They want to see how you have used the technology to solve problems. So those issues you deal with in the lab become the stories you tell the interviewers during your interviews. So the things you've solved, the issues you've found, the things you've encountered while you are in the lab become the stories you tell. Those become the case studies you use. Those become the examples you use when you're answering questions, right, about your experience or expertise as a database administrator. Hope that makes sense. All right, so build hands-on experience and then job search, right? Start applying. Once you feel confident in your skills, then go for it. You will never be ready until you are ready, right? You'll never be ready until you're in the job. I always tell my students that go for it. Apply like a crazy person, interview, go for every interview. Don't even restrict yourself to location, just apply. Even if you're not going to take that job, if it's in certain locations, still do those interviews. It is part of the learning process, building experience. Interviewing is an art. And how do you become proficient in doing it? You do it by doing it, right? So get on the job market, interview, talk to as many people, talk to recruiters, right? Get on the phone with recruiters, put your resume out there, get on the phone with recruiters, take every interview. You are building up that muscle. Very soon, you're going to start realizing you've exhausted the pool of questions and you start hearing things become repetitive. Some questions start coming back again. Interviews become less complicated or complex after you do it over and over again because you realize, I think I got this. All right. So that is, again, we follow a more detailed approach. This is me just painting a picture for you to show you that it's possible. If you're on the fence about should I explore a career in database administration, you totally should accept you're totally impatient. You don't like solving problems. You're not analytical. You just want everybody you want to have very, very clear instructions, end to end. Then maybe not for you. But if you're somebody who's open to doing some investigation, you're open to learning, you're open to looking at multiple ways of solving problems, you are analytical, you're organized, then you're likely going to excel here. People always wonder about, okay, do I need to be super technical or proficient in the technology? Do I need to be a computer guru or any of that? And the answer is no, you don't. Right? As long as you're proficient navigating your Windows computer, you can get around and do the basic things. You can create folders, run installations, install applications, do the basic things on the computer. If you can watch Netflix, if you can make your way around to Netflix and check emails, you are for the most part good. It's all a lot of things we do is UI based. Are there some scripting? Do you become a better DBA by, being knowledgeable about, script writing and all of that? Generally, it's a life principle. The more you know, the better you are. The more you know, the wider your range of opportunities, right? So yes, it does give you, but it doesn't. You don't have to be at that level to get a job. It just helps you when you're doing your job. There are certain there's a certain level of flexibility in implementing solutions that you have when you are able to write scripts or when you know some PowerShell, when you can do some, there's a level of flexibility you have in terms of implementing solutions that maybe the GUI might not give you. So that's an advantage, but it is not a limitation. So starting out, you don't need to have be able to write stored procedures in T-SQL. You don't need to be proficient writing scripts and automating in PowerShell. No, you just need to know SQL Server, being able to navigate through Management Studio. That is the user interface for SQL Server, and then just getting things done. All right. So, I hope this has been valuable for you. I hope you feel good about answering that question. If this is a smart career switch, if you're serious about getting into tech, then absolutely it is. I highly recommend database administration. It pays well. It gives you flexibility. It's one of those where even working from home is always part of the deal, even if it's not official, because we don't work traditional hours. No DBA, except maybe smaller companies that do very little volume of transactions. A lot of the time we're doing offshore, so or off hours, after hour support, we're on call. And so what that means is we can't sit in the office all the time to do some of the things. And so most database administrators already have that work, that flexibility built into their work. That work from home thing, it's always there, to always be there. So it's an excellent career path. It's fulfilling for somebody who is looking for a job that has meaning, right? A lot of people can't tell you the impact of their jobs on the business that they work for. And that's a very dangerous place to be because that means you're easy to dispose of. But for us as DBAs, we can tell how our work impacts revenue, how it impacts business, how it impacts outcomes. The effect of our doing our job well or vice versa, not doing it well. It's clear. So it's a very rewarding career path. I'll tell you that. And so if you are think on the fence about it, then absolutely go for it. When this video goes live, we should have a link to, there should be a link to what you call it, to book a call to chat with our team. I would love to hear from you and answer any questions you have and tell you about our upcoming programs. But till this same time next week, when I come your way, thank you again. My name is Nnamdi Ihenacho, and I will see you next week, Saturday, by God's grace. Enjoy the rest of your week, your weekend, and I'll talk to you.